March, and hey, congratulations for Take Me to River New Orleans.
Thank you, Gig. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. It's a beautiful documentary. It's a very important one too at the same time.
Yes, yes, it is. New Orleans is one of the world's most precious cultural jewels, and we as Americans are lucky to have it in our country.
So tell us what sparked you to do this documentary, Take Me to River New Orleans.
Well, it's the second in a series, and our first was Memphis, talking about the Mississippi Delta and Memphis as the hub. And this film is talking about Louisiana and using New Orleans as the hub, specifically New Orleans music and culture, heritage and history, but also many elements of the Louisiana culture, history, and legacy. New Orleans is the world's first world music. Memphis and Mississippi Delta is American music. New Orleans is world music, taking influences and inspiration from all over the world, from European military marching beats to West African rhythms to Haitian syncopation, Afro-Cuban, the habanera. You have South American influences, American Indian influences. You have a true gumbo of musical influences that created a world music that incorporates seamlessly influences from around the world. So I felt like this story needed to be told, and that the history, the legacy, the heritage, the culture, the music of New Orleans needed to be documented for younger generations and future generations to make sure the story is not lost, and that the cultural jewel that New Orleans is paid attention to, supported, encourages people to experience it, and finally to pay attention so it doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that this was the second film that you've done, following up a previous film. Do you have like a package of films in mind, or you're just handling it one by one at a time?
Well, I knew I was coming to New Orleans. That was a definite stop. It gets a little interesting from here. We have a couple possibilities, but I certainly want to do Bristol, Nashville, if I could. And I would really like to do London, to be honest. I think London took our music and gave it a second life. It was called the British Invasion. And I don't know if the connection has been fully made. I think it's been talked about and alluded to, but I'm not sure that the story has been told in the way that future generations need to understand it.
With New Orleans, with such a rich history, where did you want to start with a project like this? How did you want to start?
Excellent question. The star of our films is the music. So we start with the music and we end with the music, but we talk about all the different history and legacy and culture as we go. So we start with legacy musicians and pair them up with stars of today to create new music. So it's like a living history document. And the idea is we navigate the film, as you know, through sessions as we're creating a brand new record. So what we're aiming to do is to create an evergreen for future generations, and I have many people that check in to Memphis and can't wait to New Orleans, because it's a film you can see multiple times without getting bored. You see, it's like unpeeling an onion. So the challenge is to really make it rich enough that it becomes a true living historical document.
It's amazing watching your documentary, because my thought was, how did this director get into sit down with jam sessions with the most amazing people in New Orleans? What was it? I mean, it sounded like that wasn't even an obstacle. They were pretty open to you.
Well, there's a rite of passage in these communities for sure, and I give a lot of credit to the team, to the producing team, Eric Krasno, Eric Heigl, my co-creator Cody Dickinson, Ian Neville, Zach Fawcett. They had worked with some of these artists before, and certainly active in the New Orleans music community. I think with New Orleans, once they understand that you are really about the truth and about doing something the right way, and I had the benefit of most of them seeing Memphis and really loving it. So between all of that, it became kind of seamless to put together a who's who of New Orleans musicians. And we're very lucky. The musicians really understood what we were trying to do. Their professionalism shines through at every turn. And their musicianship is, rivaled by none. So it was an amazing experience, and hopefully, if I was successful, the viewer felt like I did when I was in the room.
Now, tell us, because now you made documentary films from Memphis to New Orleans. What region of the country are you actually from? What kind of music you grew up with?
So I'm a Philadelphia street kid, but I grew up with soul music. Huff and Gamble, Philadelphia International Records, Sigma Studios. All that great stuff from Teddy Pendergrass, Patti LaBelle. The list is so long. But I was lucky enough. I'm a musician by trade. I'm a drummer, and that was back in the days, which, as I'll tell you, our education effort is trying very hard to bring music back into the public schools. But luckily, when I was coming up, they gave you private lessons in public school. And my teacher, one of the first things he turned me on to was Stax Records. And I was learning from him, but through him, from Al Jackson Jr. and Harold Grimes, and some of the best drummers. And as I developed in my music, New Orleans drummers are rival to none. I mean, if you're considered a real New Orleans drummer, that's a badge of honor. So I really studied the music.
So what was it like for you to be in the same room with such greatness, after 2 documentary films?
I always blown away by the talent, the musicianship, the professionality, but what I leave with is friendship. And some of the greatest performers in these films have become some of my best friends. I mean, I talk to William Bell, for example, almost every week, and it leaves you with lifelong relationships. And it's something, since I come from a musical background and have toured professionally, it's not imposing in any way. I'm like a little kid, coming into a candy store and just going, man, this is great. Just being enthusiastic and energetic because the music's so great. And it's everything I've always wished for, which is getting together the world's best musicians to create new music.
Was there any urge to put down that camera and pick up the drumsticks to jam with them?
Well, in New Orleans, we did one session where all the producers played. Unfortunately, and it airs to the question of, well, which sessions got in and which sessions did not. All the sessions are represented on the record. Some of the sessions, as you can imagine, did not get into the film, which was difficult, you know, when the babies kind of hit the floor, hit the ground. But there was a song called "Improvised" by Anders Osborne that all the producers played on. So I did get out there and play. So if you listen to that song on the record, I'm playing percussion on that song. Cody Dickinson is playing drums. Eric Heigl is playing drums. Eric Krasno is playing guitar, and Ian Neville is playing guitar, as is Anders Osborne.
I know I'm impressed with the amount of talent that was actually featured in this documentary. I'm equally impressed that you got the legendary Neville family into this documentary. I mean, I was in awe, actually, because, you know, we're talking about years and decades of music by that family that all of us heard of across this nation.
Yeah, I still get emotional about that one gig. You know, I give full credit to Ian for really making it happen. You know, we had a strategy to try and get the brothers together. You know, they hadn't been performing together for you know, several years before that, and it worked. And to have all 6 Nevilles in the room, and there's other musical Nevilles, but to have all 4 brothers and 2 of their sons, Ivan and Ian, playing along with George Porter Jr. from the Meters, was, you know, to say historic is almost is not enough. You know, it was historically great, and I'm so I feel so fortunate for all of us that we were able to capture it before it was too late. And I feel like those folks who never got to know the greatness of the Nevilles can go and see them here and experience it firsthand.
Absolutely. Now, how long was this documentary journey? Because it seems like it's been a few years in the making for yourself.
Yeah, these usually, you know, these are like a 3 to 3.5 year odyssey, and it was made longer by the pandemic. You know, with the advent of only virtual film festivals, and, you know, the sort of the normal avenues became not normal. And I really wanted this film to be experienced in a theater as a community, and a lot of our students through a grant are getting to experience as we roll out screens around the country later in end of April and May and beginning of June. They'll be able to experience what it's like to be in a theater, see it on the big screen, experience something as a community. And so it was a longer process this time, you know, really due to the pandemic and the changing landscape. So fortunately, we landed in a good spot, and looking forward to the film unspooling in theaters across the country.
Unfortunately, some musicians did pass away during the production. Does this make it extra special or extra emotional for you?
Extra emotional, you know, bittersweet. Sweet because we got them, and we got them in a way where you see the human side of them, and you get to know them as people. And it's still very emotional. I mean, I could go back and, you know, when I see Art and Charles, it's extremely emotional. Having Ian as a really good friend, when he and his mother first saw the film, it was very emotional for them. It's still emotional, I think. They're seeing it in a different light. And it was, and it's hard to see Fifth Ward Weeby. He was so young. He was such a young, vibrant guy, you know, and to see him pass was difficult. And when we did one screening in New Orleans for friends and family, that's what we always do. We start with the home team. And it was Fifth Ward Weeby that really got an emotional gasp, because I think no one was ready for him to leave. Not that we're ready for anyone to leave, but you know, when people are getting older, it's not as unexpected. Dr. John, I felt like, you know, I had such a magical time with Dr. John, and I felt like he was in a place where he sort of knew, he was really comfortable with where he was at in his life. And it was interesting to really feel that, you know, and I felt like he had made amends, like where he was in his career and in his life. And he was just so appreciative of everything, you know, and I would say that it is still very emotional for me, because these are real friends, these are real people, you know, and you've gotten to know them over the years, so it's always difficult, you know. In Memphis, we've lost 8 of our folks in Memphis.
So for you personally, what is the enjoyment of doing musical documentaries like this?
I mean, making music, making music, and being able to direct a film that you know will stand the test of time. And it takes a lot to, you pour your heart and soul into it. And it's a Herculean effort. But at the end of the day, when it plays for the home team and you know that this is something that hits them right between the eyes, it's extremely gratifying, because you've given them a piece of themselves.
That is terrific to hear. Well, one more thing, Martin, before I let you go. As audiences prepare to watch and embrace your film, what is the one most important take that you hope they walk away with after watching this documentary?
Strip away the walls. You know, it's the 6 C's that I say before every live show, and all the outreach that we do. The 6 C's: commit, to communicate, to cooperate, so you can collaborate. And then you're on the big stuff, because then you can create lasting foundations of real community.
Wow, that is certainly the 6 C's. Everyone should remember that.
Yeah.
Martin, thank you very much for taking some time to talk about Take Me to River New Orleans with us, and I can't wait to see your next musical journey after this.
Thank you, Gig. Thank you very much, and please check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot of great live music performances there that I've been doing over the last couple years during the pandemic. So check that out when you can.
Sure thing. And could you go quickly tell us the YouTube channel's handle name?
Just Take Me to the River, and it should pop up, or TMTTR, either one. Take Me to the River or TMTTR, which is just Take Me to the River, you know, initials.
Everyone's definitely going to check out. If they love music, they better check it out.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're hired. You're hired. Thank you, Kate.
Bye now.
Take care.